When we come to Exodus chapter 35, there's a part here that we could often overlook. Last time we looked at the giving of the Israelites to the work. We read that in verse 29. The Israelites, all the men and women, so everybody was involved, whose heart moved them to bring for all the work which the Lord had commanded through Moses to be done, brought the freewill offering to the Lord. Here we see number of things the Israelites were told, were asked or invited by God to bring a contribution. That was an internal work the heart moved them to bring, and then this was done in obedience to God. But then when we come to this last section, verses 30 to 34, we see, if you like, a repetition of something that happened earlier. But let's read verses 30 to 34 of chapter 35. Then Moses said to the sons of Israel, See, the Lord has called by name Bezaleel, the son of Uri, son of Hur, the tribe of Judah. He has filled him with the Spirit of God, in wisdom, in understanding, and in knowledge, and in all craftsmanship, to make designs for working in gold, and in silver, and in bronze, and the cutting of stones for settings, and in the carving of wood, so as to perform in every inventive work. He also has put in his heart to teach, both he and Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan. What triggered looking at these verses was, when we read through Exodus, particularly this section of Exodus when it's the tabernacle in chapter 31. If I show you, there's almost an identical passage recorded of this group. Exodus 31 verse 1, See, I have called by name Bezaleel, the son of Uri, etc. And this is almost a parallel passage when we come to Exodus chapter 35. However, on a closer examination, we see the difference was in verse 34. He also has put in his heart to teach, both he and Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan. There's a difference between the two passages, although they may well be bookends. God empowered Bezaleel and Aholiab not just with artistic skills, but with the ability to teach those skills to others. Notice that the desire was put into the heart. God has also put in his heart to teach, both he and Aholiab, and of course that was to teach others to perform the skills needed to complete the tabernacle. God ensured the transmission of knowledge went to others, and this highlighted the key point here is that leadership involved mentoring others. This was central to the completion of the tabernacle, which the remaining verses of Exodus are involved with. Chapter 36, the last chapter, the end of chapter 40, was this idea of leadership and mentoring other people. You see, God often empowers individuals not just to perform a task, but to teach and mentor others. And this then triggered further sort of thoughts as to that principle throughout the Bible. The first example, of course, is Moses himself and Joshua. Numbers chapter 27 and verse 15. Then Moses spoke to the Lord, you see down here, saying, May the Lord, the God of spirits of the flesh, appoint a man over the congregation who will go out and come in before them, who will lead them out and bring them in, so that the congregation of the Lord will not be like a sheep which have no shepherd. And then God speaks to Moses. The Lord said to Moses, Take Joshua the son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay your hand on him, and have him stand before Eleazar the priest, and before all the congregation, and commission him in their sight. You shall put some of your authority on him, in order that all the congregation of the sons of Israel may obey him. So we see Verse 22, Moses did just as the Lord said, and he took Joshua and set him before Eleazar the priest and before all the congregation. Then he laid his hands on him and commissioned him just as the Lord had spoken through Moses. So we see this idea of leadership, involving and mentoring others, happened in relation to Moses and Joshua. Then, of course, we know it happened in relation to Elijah and Elisha, or Elisha, depending on your pronunciation. For here, 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 9. When they crossed over, Elijah said to Elisha, "Ask what I shall do for you before I am taken from you." And Elisha said, "Please let a double portion of your spirit be upon me." Elijah said, "You have asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if you see me when I am taken up from you, it shall be so for you. If not, it shall not be so." Then, we're familiar with the story. Elijah goes up by a whirlwind to heaven, verse 11. Verse 12, and he saw Elijah no more, and he took hold of his own clothes and tore them in two pieces. So, of course, then we know that idea of mentoring Elijah and Elisha carried through. But then, to finish off, bring it right into the New Testament, we have Paul and Timothy. And of course, Paul, when he's writing his last letter that we know of, 2 Timothy chapter 2, this is what he wrote in verse 1. You therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Christ Jesus. And verse 2 is the key verse. The things which you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust these to faithful men who will be able to teach others also. So we see this idea of leadership and mentoring and passing on these skills, particularly in relation to teaching. We see it's absolutely crucial, as it was, just as crucial as it was in the completion of the tabernacle. It is also crucial in the completion and the continuation of God's work. And so let's learn from Bezalel and Aholiab the importance of not just using our skills and gifts for God, the importance of passing them on and teaching others to serve God effectively. Thank you for listening.